Good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar, Tough Control for Sensitive Applications, sponsored by Zoëcon Professional Products and hosted by GIE Media. I'm Lisa Lupo, contributing editor for PCT Magazine, and I will be monitoring today's webinar. During the session, all participant lines will be muted. So if you have any questions, please type them into the box on the screen, and I will present them to our speaker after the presentation. Today's webinar is presented by Mel Whitson, Senior Field Technical Service Manager for Zoëcon Professional Products. Zoëcon, a leader in innovative professional pest management, provides effective tools from insect growth regulators to adulticides to help you control pests in commercial and residential accounts, even in the most sensitive environments. In this webinar, Mel will outline the key steps to developing an effective protocol for controlling cockroaches, fruit flies, drain flies, and more in sensitive environments. Mel?
Hello, everybody. Here today to give you a little update on Zoëcon and talk about handling pests in commercial establishments. It seems cockroaches and small flies have come back to be the #1 pests, and our toolbox has kind of been emptied over the years. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk a little bit about our new Gentrol Complete Aerosol. It will be unique to the market. It is a 0.05% lambda cyhalothrin with Gentrol IGR in it already as a dual active formulation. What's special about it to me is that it is an oil-based carrier is used in this aerosol, so you can get residual on surfaces such as stainless steel, and also when dealing with equipment and organic matter, an oil-based formulation is ideal. It's a pretty neat can. It's System 3 compatible. It has a 360-degree valve on it too, so the can will spray in all directions and upside down. And we have a full label for food and food-related pests, and this is for use in food and non-food areas and in food production areas also. For complete info, you can look on the label on our website. Aerosols, ULVs, ultra-low volume, cracks and crevices. I remember when I started in this business, I did a lot of commercial work. I was a commercial technician, and then an assistant branch manager, and then a technical manager for a company that provided service exclusively to commercial accounts. Aerosols, ULVs are great for cracks and crevices. We usually get you a type of flushing action, easy to use, and good for concentrated populations of any type of insect that are deep in equipment, and generally you will use less insecticide. So the days of going in and loosening panels on equipment, getting into control panels and deep into equipment have kind of gone away with the advent of cockroach baits and other things. So aerosols, ULVs are a bit underutilized these days. An oil-based aerosol, the biggest question I've been getting on this product is, why? Why oil-based? The contact kill is superior. The residual on surfaces is superior. It is excellent. Even on surfaces like sheer painted aluminum, let's say you have black or dark brown painted aluminum. When you use this product on it, it goes on nicely and it dries pretty clear. And to see the product on the surface, you have to actually kind of look at it at different angles in the light to see where the actual spray has dried. If you do over apply this product, it will run and it will leave an oily residue. But you know, in the right application sites, that is a great thing. And since the days of Catalyst and some of the other formulations that were used heavily in commercial work, I've been excited about this one because you know, it's difficult to get a residual on stainless and surfaces, and it's also difficult to coat organic matter and other surfaces with things that are based in water. So the oil also gives you a regulated release of the Gentrol IGR. So when you do apply it, you are killing the pests in the immediate area, and you are getting Gentrol IGR releasing into the treatment area. So it's great for commercial accounts, but it has a lot of properties that make it great for lots of other areas. It is labeled for a wide range of areas, including homes, hospitals, nursing homes, grocery stores, lots of great areas where you can apply this one. So it's generally non-staining. It's been tested on all kinds of surfaces. To me, I usually head straight to, I have a set of white dining room furniture and some other items that are in the garage that you know, whenever I get a new product in development, that's where I head out. And the first thing I spray is white fabric, unfinished wood, concrete, tile, carpet. So it's been through full testing on all surfaces, and it's generally non-staining. Even on white dining room furniture, treated areas couldn't be discerned from untreated areas. But as always, you know, if you do over apply, it is an oil-based aerosol. It is going to leave an oily sheen or stain on solid surfaces. On fabric, wood, concrete, tile, carpet, it hasn't left any discernible residue that can be seen. But as always, you know, we always recommend testing on a small area. If you have surfaces that are leather, other things, anything that might absorb oil, test on a small area, observe, and see if it does stain. But you know, generally, we have a pretty good product. It's a nice, clean, light oil. So oil-based, it's also easy to target application sites. You get it on, the aerosol will fly out and stick to surfaces and give you some good applications. Cockroach control. You know, this is one that has changed over the years and changed dramatically. I was around for the first gel baits as they came out, and it seemed that overnight we went from filling up 2-3 gallon B&Gs and taking a space application equipment into something like a restaurant to walking in with a duster and a bait gun. So with your treatment plans, the big question is how do you combine chemical, non-chemical sprays and baits? That's always the big question. It depends on your philosophy. So everyone performs inspections, I hope. Inspections, you know, planning to exclude pests, improving waste handling and sanitation. You know, I had a dream the other night that I was talking to a restaurant manager about sanitation procedures. Adding or increasing ventilation, and baiting versus spraying. The biggest conversation I always have in all accounts is, you know, are there competing food sources? When you're putting out bait, especially the baits we have today, they're very palatable and very attractive. But you know, how many competing food sources are you dealing with? Are you placing your bait between, like, actually in the harborage? Is your bait getting between the harborage and food sources? Is it getting between the harborage and water sources? So, you know, we've had a lot of issues with aversion and behavioral adaptations with cockroaches. So Competing food sources. Will sanitation practices contaminate the bait? Will it be palatable at the application site for days, for weeks? Do they come through with a pressure washer? What does the customer do? What does the food production and area do to clean up and keep your bait palatable? And the big question to me is always, is the harborage defined and contained? If it is defined and contained, you can do lots of different things. You can choose the bait or you can choose the spray. But the first three questions here beg the issue. If you have an isolated, defined harborage, you can get away with spraying it, especially if you have something with a dual active ingredient where you're not only taking out the adults, but you're releasing Gentrol into the treatment area and controlling future populations. So, the big thing going forward with baiting, with all the issues we've had, I think a good thing to consider is adding sprays, dual active sprays, into your programs to save your baits for other areas and other accounts instead of baiting only. And I was around for that when we had the first round of baits come out. We went straight to baiting, and all our liquid applications went away. And then after cockroaches were taken out for a while, we had small flies, and ants became the #1 commercial pests. So to preserve our baits, it's good to have some balance. So non-chemical control, sanitation and waste management, reducing food particle and debris from food prep, wash, and storage areas, and sanitation. As I said earlier, I had a dream the other night where I was talking to a restaurant manager, and he told me that cleaning up the restaurant was bad for the morale of the workers at the restaurant. So cleaning is bad for morale in some of the restaurants we treat. Reducing food particles and storage areas, harborage alterations, removing cardboard, clutter, and increasing air circulation. Exclusion. We always want to talk about exclusion. Weatherproofing, especially if we're talking about paradomestic cockroaches, American, Australian, brown, depending on the area of your country you're in. Caulking or screening around cracks and holes in the exterior, and using screen instead of caulk or foam when necessary to exclude and still provide ventilation. There are lots of great products now that do allow for ventilation. Sometimes in commercial work, caulk won't stand up on where different surfaces meet because of expansion of either wood or equipment moving around. So screen, foam, flexible caulk will work great. And vacuum cleaners too. I'm a strong believer in vacuuming. You can remove a large percentage of the population in one pass. And also too, when you vacuum, you give your baits a better chance to work, and you also give your residuals a better chance to work. When you're doing clean outs, I've always preached when you're cleaning out and using a liquid residual, you're not contacting the surfaces you want to treat as much as you're contacting cockroaches when there are high populations. So I've always been a big fan of vacuum cleaners, and if you have a population you want to reduce and then treat the area and get a solid residual down, if you're not using vacuum cleaners with a HEPA filter, take a look at them again and get them into your program. Chemical control, treating harborages directly or as close to harborages as possible. And that has always been the issue. When we've gone away from equipment that can deliver an insecticide deep into a harborage or deep into equipment, deep into control boxes, you're limited in what you can do with liquid and hand compressed sprayers. What's neat about the Gentrol Complete Aerosol is you can treat these harborages and areas and get close to the other ones, and the Gentrol IGR will still release from the application and the application points and drift into nearby harborages that you may not know are there or are inaccessible. So selecting insecticides based on the client's needs and environmental and structural limitations is always key. So monitoring, follow-up visits using surveys, survey inspection tools will help you determine the success of what you're doing. That's always a big issue on all the trouble accounts I go to. Is ask them how are they doing. How many roaches were you trapping before? How many complaint calls were you getting at the building? At the certain restaurant. But recording, monitoring results on sticky traps and logbooks are just as important. Will help you adjust and zero in on treatment areas and find hidden harborage areas. So communicating with your customer and with yourself. Ask yourself, self, am I achieving my desired goals? Do I need to do something different? And that could be as simple as asking yourself, are you relying too heavily on one method, on one product? And sometimes we all get into that. We get tunnel vision. We start treating the same things the same way. But when you're not getting results, it's time to reevaluate and go back and look at what you're doing. And ask yourself, self, are you making a profit? Because we all love profit, and we all love taking care of our customers and our customers' issues. So evaluation, Gentrol Complete. The high rate in crack and crevice is 1 second per linear foot. As I said, it goes on real nicely. It doesn't run out of cracks as long as you stick to the 1 second per linear foot. 2 seconds per linear foot is a little I think I got those flipped around. Let's see. Gentrol Complete, the lambda cyhalothrin will, yeah, this is flipped around here. I'm not going to gloss over it, but the low rate and high rate, 1 second, 2 seconds per linear foot is the high rate. These two got transposed. So 1 or 2 seconds per linear foot will get the job done. Lambda kills listed insects, and with the oil-based carrier, it's pretty neat because it gives you great penetration. When you think about it, insect cuticles are waxy, and water repellent. Oil gets right on there and gets you better contact. The IGR in here disrupts normal development. It kills whole metabolous insects that pupate. Insects that go through complete metamorphosis will die at pupation. Cockroaches developing in the presence of Gentrol become incapable of reproduction through when they molt into the adult phase. The juvenile hormones affects how their genitalia remodel, and it makes them physically, males and females, physically incompatible, and also results in sterilization. Enclosed voids, we have some new language on here, and you'll be seeing this on a lot of aerosol labels coming out that do have closed void treatment language. So in closed voids, you got to calculate the cubic feet, and 3 to 6 seconds per 3 cubic feet that you are treating. And with this type of language and application rates, you're looking at making multiple holes or application points if you're treating in walls, voids, or equipment. But take note. Everybody's paying attention to how much is going into voids and the application rate. Applying to areas where pests crawl and hide, it goes without saying. Hidden surfaces around sinks and storage areas, underneath equipment. It's when using this type of material, you'll have to dust off your knee pads and get down and look at your equipment, counters, and surfaces from all angles. From underneath, highly recommend, as always, inspection mirrors, flashlights. Hidden surfaces around sinks and storage areas, between the elements of construction. This is the perfect material to go between equipment and the floor, pipe chases, under and beneath, behind refrigerators, stoves, and you'll get your nice residual with your oil-based carrier. And what you'll also get is the IGR releasing out of the carrier and into the environment. So underneath and behind refrigerators and stoves, great areas for that IGR to become volatile, come off and spread into other harborages that are close by. Equipment legs and bases. Spot applications, another area with language to pay attention to. Spot applications used to be a bigger size, but now we have to spell out, apply at 10 to 12 inches above surfaces. Limit spot treatments to no larger than 20% of the total surface, and not to exceed an area of 2 square feet for individual spot treatments. So I know a lot of people out there make a lot of spot treatments, and sometimes I get the question, what if I do a 2 square foot area and I leave a 1 millimeter space in between my next 2 square foot area? Is that a legal application? As long as it's not larger than 20% of the total surface area. So we have some pretty nice language on here for spot applications and some limitations on the total surface area. And always a great sight to see. Whenever I enter any building, any establishment that has food, follow your nose. You can usually smell the floors and the slime mold. And areas like this are not only fly breeding grounds, but they're also great water and moisture sources for cockroaches. And of course, standing water inside is never desirable. But as I said earlier, sanitation and cleaning, it's bad for morale. So when you have your accounts where you can almost use your kayak to get through the back rooms, the Gentrol Complete is a great product. As I said, it's an oil-based carrier, so you can treat areas like this and get some pretty good residual down and get some effective treatment in. This one I thought was funny. The footer of this interior wall had rotted, and they just tapped in a brand new 2x4 there. Never mind fixing the leak or the equipment. Let's just keep the walls standing and keep the roaches happy with their water supply. Syrups and syrup containers in the back, spilled syrup and moisture is always an issue, along with cardboard and everything else. And the Gentrol Complete gives you a great material to use on these areas where you have walls and moisture compromised areas, and areas too where you have food sources readily available. And not only will you get the contact and the residual, but you will get the Gentrol IGR effects coming off there too. So oil-based is good, especially when you have areas of high value to cockroaches, areas that you can't necessarily bait effectively. I'm super excited to offer Gentrol Complete as an option for these areas. Underneath the compressor, I thought this was kind of neat. Some more, I'm always mystified by the slime molds and funguses growing on floors. And enclosed areas, especially if you have an issue in them, whether it be flies or cockroaches, when you have super high moisture in these enclosed spaces, the Gentrol Complete is a great option. And this is just a beer plumbing pass-through that's always wet with condensation, and any baits placed in here would mold over pretty quickly. But it's a great place for your oil-based aerosol Gentrol Complete. So isolated enclosed habitats where moisture and sanitation are an issue. We have a lot of competition for your baits, and also with the lambda cyhalothrin and Gentrol, it's a great tool for making areas inhospitable to insects. Great habitat denial tool. Also great where water-based residuals have failed. Some of the environments I showed, and also where long-term IGR control is desirable. You know, having more than one active and a little bit different type formulation is going to go a long way towards preserving the chemistry and the materials we do have. We're going to move on from cockroaches, and move on to drain and fruit flies real quick. On our Gentrol Complete label, these are some label highlights here. It is on the label to apply to areas of fly breeding. Drains, applying into and around the downspout and catch basin area. And this is straight from the label. Coat drain areas thoroughly as flies develop and scum build up on the sides of drain pipes, and reapply at 2 to 4 week intervals, depending on severity. And you know, this from the testing that's been done and the formulation, it's going to be a great tool for drain and fruit fly control in a lot of these tough areas. Not only to give you some immediate relief, but put an immediate stop to fruit flies. Inspection's always key with fruit flies. Once they become established in a small area, an area as small as this one underneath this catch pen, under the beer taps, can become self-sustaining. You can kind of see the first place I kind of headed to. I could see this piece of trim jammed in here. I pulled this piece of trim out, and you know, during the busy hours, enough beer was spilling over the sides to kind of catch into here, and this is all a solid mass of pupae and larvae. And this was a white tile surface. You can see here where my screwdriver was. It's supposed to be white tile going all the way across. So, you know, in this restaurant, I think 80% of the fruit flies bothering everybody were coming out from this area right here. Floor drains are always a hot topic. I always know before I open these, there's the area where everyone walks, and you can see as far as a mop will reach. How far can you reach with a mop on the end of a stick? This far. Seeing drains like this, immediately, they always look cleanish on the outside, but on the inside you get enough food debris and particles, as I say, to start these infestations, and they become kind of self-sustaining between all the fecal matter and food particles coming in. You can see the larvae right there. Floor drains are great for for an oil-based carrier and an aerosol. Makes treating them very easy. All you have to do is coat the surfaces and move on. You've got your IGR and your residual insecticide together, and will give you a good, great effects on organic matter and different surfaces. This one I thought was interesting too, because it's one of my favorite drain shots ever. In the kitchen, they were always kind of using this floor drain as a as a disposal. So at the end of every night, you can see the orange slice down here, a lemon slice, and other things as they kind of swept things in. There were too many different foreign objects for this grate to be in place during the night. So whoever was doing the floors loosened a couple screws and squeegee everything into this drain in the middle of the floor. So it's kind of neat. You get a lot of erosion of the pipe when it's not used for its intended purposes, and a great site for that oil-based carrier and IGR to coat these surfaces and kind of deal with this issue right here. Floor drains too. They usually council always tell you they clean every floor drain monthly, and I always tell them back, you clean all the ones that you can find and see. So this was one of my favorite floor drains ever, causing huge fruit fly problems and American cockroach breeding problems. All the equipment in the bar area, and including a triple sink, were all draining into this floor drain in the middle and causing all kinds of issues. Great for making your spot applications here. Even if this was cleaned up, it would be a great site for using Gentrol Complete. Drain covers and strainers are always great sites for fruit flies and fruit fly breeding. So having your oil-based carrier and IGR all in one is exciting, and it's going to be neat that I advance it there. The other quick thing I wanted to talk about too is using a fly bait spray with your fruit flies. You can treat the breeding medium and the breeding sites, but there's a lot of great products out there for treating resting areas and resting sites. We make a fly bait spray, and we're going to come out with a different size. This is a 40-pound pail right here, and a 40-pound pail goes a long way. It's a sugar-based product. Ours mixes up pretty clean. 2 to 4 ounces in your sprayer. If you have a 16-ounce sprayer, 2 ounces. And if you like to mix it up, it's very effective. So not only when you're treating the breeding sites, but treating the resting areas for the flies is critical, and we have a lot of great tools to do that today. It's as easy as getting it into a sprayer, a spray bottle, or a B&G bottle, and heading to those spots where the flies are resting on the walls, where you have fly fecal, and also underneath equipment and in these areas where you have high amounts of them breeding and being attracted back to this site. So your Gentrol Complete would be great on all these areas, but hidden areas where they are resting, it's also a good place to mix it up and get some fly bait spray, fly stations, or other things out too. Fruit flies and drain flies, everyone always asks, are there effective traps out there? There are a lot of great traps out there. There are sticky traps, glue traps. Some of them have vinegar, sugar. Some of them you can use beer to attract the flies. But anytime you have a sticky trap, you need an attractant. And our fly bait spray has lots of attractants in it and a feeding attractant too. So even if you have a sticky trap, you can bait it with, spray it with vinegar. I've seen fruit juice, anything to attract the fruit fly or keep them on the surface a little bit longer will work out great. So the biggest thing for me to remember and always remember, have an open mind to new ideas. Take a look at what you're doing. If you're doing it for yourself, if you're a one-man operator, or if you have multiple branches, have an open mind to new ideas. Baiting versus spraying versus area treatments versus liquid residuals. Sometimes our protocols and concepts can be kind of rigid. So we keep coming out with new tools like this one, like the Gentrol Complete. It does have a fit in a lot of programs. So if you're doing baiting, and spraying, you really should be matching up your treatment to the microenvironments you're in. So reading the labels too. There's a lot of new label language on aerosols and liquids these days, especially pertaining to application rates and treatment sites. So every year we're asked to do different and new things by the EPA, and we always gladly comply and pass on that information to you on the label. So Gentrol Complete, super fast knockdown, long-term residual, dual actives. That's the big thing. It's an all-in-one resistance fighting material. It is an oil-based formulation. It holds up in the toughest environments and will stick to stainless steel, aluminum, painted aluminum, and organic matter. So as I've introduced this, I hope some of you have started thinking about it, because this will be a dynamite product for lots of different areas, inaccessible areas, including window frames, voids, areas around entry where you want to get some a little extra residual. So it's going to be a great tool for all pest management philosophies. So if you're a company that does only baiting, only dusting, or only aerosols, mix it up. Take a look at Gentrol Complete, and I thank you for your time. We have some time for questions, if you all have any. It's always tough giving these webinars. Do you feel like you're talking to yourself sometimes? But I appreciate y'all coming out. If you look on our Zoëcon website, you can get in touch with your local sales rep who can give you more information and assist you with anything you need. I'm here for you too. You can find my name and number on the website, and we're always happy to come out and take a look and help you with anything you need.
All right. Thank you, Mel. We do have a few questions from participants, so I will go ahead and pass those along to you now. The first one was just wanted to say great presentation, and then asked, are these products available now? Is it possible to get a sample?
Yes. Talk with your distributors and your local rep. We should be running production of this really soon. I don't have any specific dates. Once we develop a product, it kind of goes off into the hands of production.
I want to thank Mel and all the participants for joining us, and the webinar will also be posted on PCT's website at www.pctonline.com. Thank you.